Hello YouTube, Reseller Mom here. Welcome to today's video. Today is going to be my second video on different kinds of sourcing online, and today I'm going to focus on explaining liquidation and closeouts versus wholesale and direct from manufacturer. So thank you for joining me today, and let's So today we're going to talk about pretty much two different ways of purchasing items online. The first one being closeout locations, liquidation locations, which I'm lumping into kind of the same thing. We'll explain a little bit of the difference there. And wholesale / distributors. I'm not really going to talk about direct from manufacturer because that's pretty self-explanatory. You buy it directly from the manufacturer. Most places don't sell things direct. They will sell to a wholesale type of company that is often referred to as their distributors. Distributors are wholesale companies, and that's how most people get out their product. So first we're going to talk about the closeout and liquidations, but if you haven't already, if this video helps you out at all, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. And if you're not a subscriber, I would love to have you as a subscriber. So first, let's go over liquidation companies, and I will call them liquidation companies or closeout companies. They pretty much do the same thing. Some prefer one term over the other, but they're essentially, they get their products from the same location and have the same pros and cons. So closeouts and liquidations will come from stores that have customer returns, such as when people return items to Amazon or to Target or Walmart and they are not brand new or pristine, then they go into these mixed pallets that get auctioned off to closeout liquidation companies, and in turn they will purchase those and then resell them to third-party sellers and liquidation stores. They could also come from overstock from different companies who just don't have the space to store it. Maybe it's a slow moving product and it's not something they want to keep having in their store, so they're going to discount the stock. And again, it's going to go to these liquidation closeout companies such as Nordstrom Rack. If Nordstrom Rack has clothes that are very old, they've been sitting around for a while, they just haven't sold, they're going to lump them up and auction them off, sell them off. Sometimes it will be stuff that's close to expired, or a lot of times holiday type of items. So at the end of Christmas, maybe all of the Christmas funfetti and Pillsbury and any sort of Christmas type of candy is going to be lumped up and again sold off to these liquidation companies because they're close to expired, or they just don't want to store it for a whole nother year till the season comes back. And then the last kind of idea, and this is not all inclusive by any means, but one of the other big ones you will see is if they are going out of business. When Toys R Us went out of business, there was a lot of liquidation companies that came in and bought truckloads of stuff for discounted prices. Now, liquidation companies, their job is to go into these types of situations and give the company some sort of money for their products that they're trying to get rid of. And then they in turn turn around and sell it to third-party sellers and some places that are brick and mortar that they buy liquidation stuff and put it up there. A lot of times it will be third-party sellers that are going to sell on their e-commerce website, either Shopify or eBay or Amazon, and those liquidation type of stores. So their goal is to go in and get a really good price for those products and then mark them up slightly and then sell them off. Some will sell them directly, some will have auctions. One of the things that we will need to talk about here is the manifest. Now, manifest is a fancy word for a list of what's in that lot, and a manifest that is itemized will have a list of everything that is in that lot. And so some companies will just sell a lot and tell you kind of how big it is and how heavy it is and an idea of what's in there. Let's say it's like an electronic type of themed palette, but they're not going to tell you everything that's in there. And it's a mystery. It's like a surprise. And others will list out exactly, they will have an itemized manifest that will list out exactly how many pieces and what you are getting. Some will include full descriptions. Some will include UPCs. Some will include the Amazon ASIN. That's what we're going to look at for the examples I pulled. Some don't. So these are all things you're going to need to look at when you are looking at liquidation closeout type of companies. There are a lot of liquidation companies, and they have become really popular in the last year to 2 years, especially with COVID. A lot of places shut down during COVID, and so a lot of eBay sellers, and myself included, looked at other ways of gaining access to products that we could sell because you couldn't go out and go shopping for a while, or when you went out and went shopping, they just didn't have much inventory there. So I have 2 examples here, 888 Lots, which is also Miami Lots. So it really is one example, but 2 names. It is the same company, same mother company, I guess, 2 different websites. There are also companies like Bulk that do mostly close. So depending on what type of inventory you're trying to get, you're going to have different companies that might be better for you. 888 Lots and Miami Lots, they break down their items into different categories. So if I just was looking for clothing and fashion, or if I wanted to get toys, for Q4 coming up, I could focus in on those categories. Auction Nation also is another one that I'm familiar with, but more on the selling side because my excess inventory will go get liquidated off. I sell it to Go Gambit, that puts it up for auction on Auction Nation, but on the other side, you could purchase things from Auction Nation. They have lots of stuff to get as well. So with 888 Lots, it was not difficult to register. Liquidation companies are usually not very hard to register with, and they have some similarities with wholesale and distributors, such as minimum order quantities, and sometimes they have applications. You may need to provide a reseller permit or an EIN, which we'll go over that a little bit more in the wholesale side. But with 888 Lots in particular, and most of the other liquidation companies I deal with, they will not only have stuff on their website, but they also can send you deals and promos and whatnot in emails. So some of these places will email you every week, maybe sometimes more than every week, and they could have specials going on. What I have noticed from just experience is lots that are really good usually are taken very quickly, and then there are ways to negotiate as well. Sometimes there will be lots that you can bid on and it's more auction style. So, you may start off at $100 and next thing you know, it's up to $900 or $2,000 because people are bidding up because it's got some good stuff in it. On the flip side, sometimes, it's priced a little bit high and you'll see it reduced. So you've got to constantly be looking at the prices and what's entailed, etc. for it. Here is what a breakdown looks like, and this was off of Miami Lots. I just picked a clothing lot and clicked on the manifest, and this is what their manifest looks like. So you've got the condition, brand new, everything on here. You've got the item description, and then they also provide the Amazon ASIN, the MSRP. The sales rank is not coming through. I'm not sure why that's not coming through. Probably because this is all variation listings. And with variation listings, it's not, it's going to go off, the rank is going to go off the parent ASIN, not the child ASINs. So that's probably why sales rank is not pulling on these guys. And in turn, the invoice is going to look like this. So now this is an invoice. This was an invoice from back in 2017. I bought 18 of this description, which is just the Amazon ASIN. And, it does say invoice. It's not a terrible example of an invoice, but as you can see, Amazon may have some issues with this. If we go back up here to this manifest from today with a Spooktacular Creations and Dark Sorcerer that's going for $13.29, 2 a piece, we can see that it is currently going for $31.99. So when you do go look at these manifests, you're going to want to look at several things. Of course, you're going to want to look at the selling price. You're going to want to click on the ASIN, see the product. You're going to want to look at your Keepa graphs to see how much is selling. And you got to look at the quantities because, this robe looked pretty good, but you're only getting 2 of them. Whereas this underwear right here, you're going to get 100 packs of this underwear. So you want to look at the entire manifest and make sure that you're going to make money on most of the items. And if you're not going to make money on all of the items, is it still worth it to you to get the whole package for the ones that sell well? You may find that maybe 90% is very good money and 10% is kind of break even. And you're going to have to determine what that ratio and how much money you want to make and how much capital you want to invest in doing these types of manifests. Or orders. So at $13.29, which I'm not calculating in shipping, you would really want to put shipping in there. The net profit on that robe is $5.68, 44% ROI, and that is before anything else. This is this was out without price reductions. This is not calculating in your shipping cost, returns, cost of doing business, any of those things. So I'm just showing you one example. Now, the other thing with items and liquidation closeout places is there are some downsides. So first up, there's usually no returns whatsoever. You buy it as is. You're not going to return it. You cannot call them up and say, oh, I want to be reimbursed because of XYZ. You usually can't. It's as is. You take it for what it is. It's like buying things at a garage sale. You can't just go back and return it. The sales prices are often inflated may not be the right word, but they're going to show off the best price on Amazon, and you really need to check the price history and when you're buying it. So like that sorcerer costume, it might be really good now, but it is currently September 17th. By the time it gets to me and I get it into Amazon, am I going to miss the window for Halloween, or is it still going to be okay? How many of those sell every year? Are they selling hundreds, or are they selling 3 a month? You've got to check all of that stuff, especially going into Q4 here. There's going to be a lot of price fluctuations going into Q4, so you need to be aware of that. New. I love the definition of new at these places. Closeout and liquidation places will often call something new, but in my mind, it might not be new. I have received dusty, dirty, scraped, old, expired, missing parts, things that pretty much you're going, geez, this is not really it's not Amazon new. It's got some wear and tear to it. And oftentimes, if you have to sell those products as used or like new with shelf damage, you're not going to get the price, that awesome price that was first shown to you. If I scroll back up here to this this manifest again right here, you may go look at this MSRP of $64 and it says it's selling for $54.99, but is that real? You want to go click on that and make sure that that was just not a one-off price and that's consistent and not just, rainbows and wishes here. The invoices may not hold up to IP claims. If I go back up to my invoice here, I do have a lot of the things that Amazon is looking for. Now, closeout companies, again, they may or may not tell you that their invoice will hold up to Amazon. And even if they tell you, yes, it's going to hold up, we have great invoices, yes, they're perfect, they may not always be correct. It's it's sometimes they're going to tell you, again, roses and unicorns, and it's not quite as pretty as they're going to say it is. But I do have the bill to, the ship to, an invoice. It actually says invoice. It's got a date. It's got a quantities. I don't know if this description with having the Amazon ASIN on it would hold up to Amazon or not. And that's why a lot of people stay away from closeouts and liquidations. I am not going to tell you to never, ever, ever get closeout and liquidations, but I will tell you that it is a bit more risky. It's probably just as risky as RA and OA sourcing, but it's got its own problems, and you want to make sure you know exactly what you're getting and what those problems can be. So the other thing, make sure with both wholesale and closeouts that you're calculating the cost of shipping into your cost of goods. So a lot of places I will want to order the minimum to get free shipping. If by chance I cannot get free shipping from the company, I will take the entire shipping cost and the amount of items that I have, do the calculation on how much I'm paying for each item, and then add that into the cost of goods. A lot of times it works out to, I would say, at low 10 to 30 cents and at most 50 cents per item. So it's not really that bad, but you do need to factor it in. While researching this video, I did come across this great blurb from Riverbend Consulting Team that talked about specifically Amazon warehouse deals, and just wanted to bring it all to your attention if you didn't already know this. But basically, if you have an IP claim and your products are deemed fake, we'll say you had 10 Nike shoes and you couldn't provide correct invoices for those 10 Nike shoes, they are going to quote unquote dispose of that fake inventory. That fake inventory, and it doesn't matter if it's really fake or if it's not fake, but sometimes it is, sometimes it's not, that inventory is going to go into these liquidation lots. Amazon doesn't throw things into the landfill. Even if they are disposing of things, it's going to go into liquidation lots. Those liquidation lots get sold to the liquidation closeout companies, and then in turn, a lot of people go and purchase those items, and you could wind up buying those inauthentic items, whether they are truly inauthentic or not. Most of those closeout companies are not going to have invoices that are going to stand up when Amazon asks you for the invoices. So be aware of that. I had recently heard, some people sourcing at Woot.com, which Woot is where a lot of the liquidations from Amazon's go, and I would strongly suggest not sourcing from Woot.com, and make sure that your liquidation company is getting them from the manufacturer and they have paperwork that will be able to hold up in the Amazon world. That's where my sources are when I get liquidation or closeouts. It's because they have sourced it straight from the manufacturer or the distributor and can provide paperwork, etc. if I need anything. I don't think I've ever purchased an Amazon liquidation, nor do I think I ever would have any reason to do so unless if I was doing a brick and mortar and looking for something on a brick and mortar liquidation type of business setup. Anyhow, if you have any questions about that, I did like that they had a phone number here and they have a website. It's always good to have a few places you could call if you get yourself stuck in a pickle or if you have any questions or whatnot. So next we're going to talk about wholesale. Wholesale is kind of where my business is going and where I think a lot of people on Amazon need to go. And I would even go as much to say that applies to people who are wanting to go onto Walmart. I've been doing more and more sales on Walmart, and I have been following more boards on Walmart sales, and there are a lot of people that are under the impression that you can drop ship on Walmart, you can drop ship on Amazon, and you cannot drop ship on either of those platforms. So don't do that. Okay, so for either of those platforms, but we'll go back to just talking about Amazon here. Wholesale comes directly from the distributors and the manufacturers, and they go to wholesale distributors and then they get sold to third parties and stores. So there's not it's pretty straight from the source. Your items are going to come usually case packed, that are case packed straight from the manufacturer and then sent to you. So the distributor is just somebody that handles the distribution of those wholesale items. And the reason they do this is because a lot of the companies want to produce massive amounts of stuff. It helps out with production. I have a very strong production background. And so in this example, I use a lot of pickles, Vlasic pickles. So if you're a pickle company, you're going to want to produce lots and lots of pickles. And you're going to want to sell those pickles by like pallets and truckloads and large amounts. You're not going to want to have the staff and the team and the shipping capacity to sell 3 cases here and 1 case there to the smaller sellers like myself. So you get a distributor, and that distributor will then buy a large amount of those items and then parse it out to smaller quantities to people like myself and stores. And that's where that's that's me explaining the wholesale part. If you are wanting to buy directly from the manufacturer, there are some small manufacturers, companies that are just, small and starting up that will work with somebody that's our size selling on Amazon. But that's pretty few and far between, and usually pretty small potatoes there. A lot of times Amazon sellers, we're looking for things that have a really good brand name, and those brand names are going to be sold in a lot, big quantities, and then therefore we're going to be working with distributors. So I hope that makes sense. Had my slides a little out of order, but just to touch on closeout and liquidations, we talked about a lot of the cons. The upsides of closeout and liquidations is low cost. You can usually get things for very, very cheap. There are usually a lot of deals, coupons, shipping deals, closeout type costs that you can get to get some really good margins going. And there's usually a pretty good variety. Whereas with wholesale, that we're going to talk about in a minute, you kind of have to order usually quite a bit of things. If you're doing a closeout or liquidations, you can go a little bit more wide and a little less deep. Now, how to find wholesalers and distributors. Probably the biggest question I see out there with all of this going on. The first question would be, should I buy from closeouts and liquidation centers? And a lot of times my default answer would be like, no, but you can do it if you do it safely and you know what you're doing. However, there's a lot of people that jump in and buy closeouts, and next thing you know, they're selling fake Nikes and they get their account shut down. So that's why I make these videos, to hopefully show you a little bit more of the ins and outs so that you don't get caught up in that. All right. And then how do you find wholesalers and distributors? There's a lot of different ways, but I'm going to be upfront. It's going to take some work. It's not like Target where you can just go and scan a couple of shelves and find something to sell. It's going to take some work. Now, my favorite way is to go to conventions. I went to ASD, found lots of wholesalers to work with. That was a lot of fun and really good. Now, ASD also has all of their vendors free online. You just have to sign up and you can have access to all their vendors. So there should be no reason why you can't find wholesalers and distributors. Finding ones that have things that you want to sell for profitable margins that will work with you, that's the tricky part. Gift shows, if you just type in gift shows or wholesale conventions and your city name, you usually can find some going on. Last year it was a little tough. Most were canceled, but they're starting to pop back up again. The next way that I like to look at is on the back of the item I'm trying to sell. Most items have a manufacturer or a website or a name of some sort that you can Google, and then you can go to that company's website. You can email them, you can call them, you can look them up, And if they don't have it directly who they're, how to purchase the item wholesale, then you can ask them for who their distributor is. And that's the key word there. You can pick up the phone, call them, say, hi, I'm looking to purchase your items. Who are your distributors in my area? And that's usually going to get you an email or a list of who the distributors are in your area that will sell that item. Then you need to go to those distributors and see if you can get accounts with them. Google and internet searches are usually where I find them too if it's not from a convention. And then the last way that I'll put on here, and again, this video is, I wish I could be all inclusive, but Amazon keeps changing and things keep growing and everything. I'm sure there's more ways to find wholesalers and distributors. If I've missed something big, go ahead and leave it down in the comments below. I would love to hear how you find them as well. Purchasing lists and information from others. This is kind of the last way that I could think of, my least favorite way. I don't have anybody that I really feel provides a whole lot of great information on wholesalers and distributors that I would want to purchase that information from. And the reason being is if you have another YouTuber or whatnot out there that is selling this list, who are they selling it to? And those lists are going to get flooded, and the names that are on that list are going to get flooded with emails and people, and probably going to get turned off about that. So I did purchase a list from someone at the beginning of this year out of curiosity. It was a list that was on sale. I purchased it and I was underwhelmed with what was on the list and the information provided on that list for what I paid for it. Now, I'm not going to say where or how much or any of that. It did, if I had nothing, if I started out at ground zero and I had nothing, then it might have been a good deal. But since I have already built up literally hundreds of contacts and stuff, to me, it was not worth the purchase. But if you are just starting out, that might be something that you want to do. For the example of trying to find a supplier, I went ahead and used Vlasic Pickles. I went to the Vlasic Pickle website and they provided me a list of stores in my area, such as Safeway and Fred Meyer, that I could go purchase the Vlasic Pickles, but I kind of wanted to do wholesale. So I typed in Vlasic Pickles and wholesale and, just showing you some of the top 2 hits. This is a wholesale company called Supply Leader. They do charge, I want to say the base price was $50 a month, upwards of like $100 a month subscription. I have never paid to be part of a wholesale type of club, so I don't know if it's worth it or not, but that is one way that you can go ahead and get items. The other place that I found was Round Eye Supply, and this place offers free shippings on orders that are $1,500 or more. They have restaurant supplies, kitchen supplies, different things. I don't know what their prices are, and my suggestion for you guys, if you are looking at wholesale type of items, I do better, meaning margins and less competitions, if I group things up. So if we're looking at these pickles up here again, if you made a variety pack of pickles with, we've got the keto friendly, we've got those, what is this, dill minis. Oh, they're all keto friendly, of course. Smack'ems. Let's just say you took the bread and butter, the Smack'ems, and the dill holes, and you made a combo pack, variety pack to then sell on Amazon. That is what I would suggest would be the best way to go. And a lot of people will go and look on Amazon and find the best-selling products that they're looking at. You'll go find the top 3 best-selling pickles, and then take 2 or 3 of those, combine them up to make a bundle that will then not have as much competition going for it, as opposed to just getting on a listing that's already there, that's selling, that has a lot of people already on that listing. So just some ideas for sourcing there if you were looking around at things. Now, I kind of pulled pickles as an example for you guys because I don't think I sell any pickles because they are very heavy and glass and difficult to sell with the margins because of the weight and the glass going on. So a lot of the items I'm going to be looking for are lightweight, non-breakable type of items. All right. Wanted to talk about what a wholesale company is going to require with the application. If you go to any of these places, you're going to look around and see where you can find and do an application. A lot of times they're going to want some information. It can be as little, let's see if did I do that? Nope, I might not have. They're going to ask for at least an email and a name and a login, and once you do an order, they're going to need, of course, your billing address, etc. Let's see here. Here we go. This is where I wrote it down. Applications can range from just your name and email to full applications with needing all of your business information. Sometimes they will want your website link. They will want to know any doing business as. They might have references needed, and sometimes they will have credit applications. Now, if you use a credit card and you put a credit card on file, you typically don't need to do the credit application with the company. It's up to you how you want to do your business. Some people really love having credits with the company and being able to do that. I personally use a Southwest Visa card so that I can get points and just put a credit card on file with my wholesalers so that I can make orders and, they charge my credit card on file. However you want to run it, that is okay. Be aware, though, that these applications can seem a little personal at first if you're not used to it, and giving that kind of information away may be a little uncomfortable. And you may be saying, wait a minute, do I really need to give them my EIN number and my reseller permit and, my full name and address and all that good stuff? Yeah, most of the time, if it's a legit wholesaler, then yes, that's okay. If you are ever on the cusp of maybe you're not thinking it's a real wholesaler, please do some background looking at and making sure that that company is legit and you are not getting scammed. I have seen every once in a while a scam website pop up that is just looking to get information to basically charge things and steal from you. They're not nice, but most legit sites are good. Every once in a while I have a non-legit site. All right, I want to talk about EIN real quick. EIN, and we'll go back to that slide in a minute, but EIN numbers, pretty easy. Once you get up and going, you're going to need to get an EIN number for your business. These are, I think they're free. I can't remember if I ever paid anything. If I did, it wasn't very much, but your business will need an EIN number. And I want to say I had to have an EIN number to get a business bank account, which I also suggest having all your purchases and stuff done in a business name and your business purchases in in separate accounts for accounting reasons. But EIN numbers, pretty easy to get. I just typed in how to get an EIN and this popped up, so you can go ahead and go from this website. You're going to click on what kind of business setup you have with your sole proprietor. I'm an LLC right now, whatever you are. And if you're not set up, then you want to look at how you want to set up your company for doing business. Make sure your structure of your company is done however you want to do. And if you need advice on that, I would definitely suggest a lot of research and maybe reaching out to a tax advisor or CPA. For a reseller permit, that's going to be based on your state. So wherever you live, you're going to type in, like for me, I did Washington State reseller permit, and it's going to take me down this path on what it is and how to apply for it, etc. I believe I pay $200 every 2 years for my reseller permit in Washington. I also keep a reseller permit for Nevada because I do shop down in Nevada, and so I want to be able to buy things for work down in Nevada. So whatever states you're going to be purchasing in, that's the states you want to have reseller permits on. And it allows you to buy the items for resale and not pay sales tax on them. Some people will purchase from wholesale companies with a reseller permit or have their items sent to a third-party packing place in a state that does not charge sales tax, like Oregon. So if your prep center is down in Oregon, you can buy things, have it sent to Oregon, not pay sales tax on it, and then pay a third-party prep center to then prep those items. Just telling you what all is out there as options. All right. Some of the other wholesale cons, or, these aren't really cons, but, information they may need. You may not have your reseller permit set up or your banking information set up, so you may not be ready to wholesale for that there. The other two cons that I had was the minimum order quantity, MOQ is referred to. A lot of places like the one we just saw, $1,500 MOQ. If you're just starting off on Amazon, that might be a little steep for you, and you may not be able to hit the minimums. I have a couple companies that are minimums of 1,000, 2,000, so I have to really beef my order up, and I like to go wide, not deep, so sometimes I can't meet those minimums. The other thing is they may not sell to e-commerce sellers. Some places are very strict. They will not sell if you do not have a brick and mortar, or they will not sell to you specifically if you sell on Amazon, and that could be because some of their brands that they sell specifically don't want them doing that because they already have things set up on Amazon, or they already are working with somebody that is selling on Amazon. Don't be offended. It happens. It's okay. That's just how they do business. It's it's not personal, it's business. Some of the pros for wholesale selling is you can build relationships that will gain you access to other products. You can order in larger quantities, which is super nice. My goodness, all the RAOA places are just having a lot of quantity limits these days. Invoices will work for IP claims, no problem. And if you have any other compliance paperwork or IP problems or authorizations, they can reach out to the manufacturer and get those cleared up for you. So it is much nicer, and probably it's just nicer if there's any problems going on. And right now there's just a lot of problems out there with paperwork and stuff. All right, guys, that is all I have for this video. If you found anything useful in this video, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. If you have anything that I've missed that you want to add, please leave it down in the comments below. Or if you just want to shoot me a hi, hello, I'd love to hear how you're doing. All right, take care and have an amazing